Welcome to this extremely honest review of the Whoop 4.0. So I've had the Whoop about 30 days now, so I feel like I'm in a good place to review it. Obviously this is not sponsored. Unfortunately I'm not in the position to get sent Whoop bands and have a code and have you sort of click the link and give me loads of money. It's not the case yet, so I'm gonna have to give you an honest review because no one's paying me. So first of all, what is it? The Whoop strap is basically a health tracker. Okay, it's not a fitness wearable really because it's not got a screen, which I'll get into, but it's a 24/7 health and lifestyle tracker. So you wear it all the time. You can't see your stats until you go onto the app, and it just tells you a little bit around recovery, strain, sleep, all those kind of metrics that you need to know to make informed decisions on how you live your life, how you train, how you sleep, what you eat, what you consume in terms of caffeine, alcohol. All those kinds of things will feed in to the score you get on your Whoop, whether it be recovery, whether it be sleep score, whatever it is, and they'll tell you, have you done something wrong? Have you done something that you could improve on potentially? The idea being that all of these things lead to a better lived experience for yourself. So if you're someone, for example, who has caffeine later on in the day, you'd have that, you'd be on your Whoop, and the next day you'd see your sleep is shit, your recovery is shit, and you might think, actually, you know, I might not have that caffeine later on in the day because my sleep's clearly affected. So from what my experience is pretty accurate, but we're going to get into some bits. So first of all, what are the good features then? Let's get off to a positive start. Okay, so the first thing I really like is 24/7 charging. So what I mean by that is the fitness trackers I've had in the past, you would always have to take them off. The most annoying one being the Apple Watch, okay, which basically lasted one day and then you'd have to charge it overnight, giving you no sleep data. That'd be pretty useless on a tracker that's supposed to track your sleep. So what they've done is they've come up with this smart little gadget that you charge independently and then you clip on to your Whoop and it charges while you're on the go. It does look a bit Webster, does look a bit shit, but I mean if you don't leave the house with it and you're just like tapping away at your keyboard or whatever and you're working or gaming or whatever you're doing, then it's pretty good because it means it's still tracking what you need it to track, but it's also charging, so you can get it to 100% while it's still on your wrist effectively, which is really good. What I would say is the battery is fairly decent. The battery is kind of 3 days, 2 to 3 days, depending on how much you use it, how many activities you do, etc. But effectively, the battery is going to last you a couple of days. But I'd like this charging feature because it's smart and it makes the fitness wearable 24/7, which is the idea. Okay, there's no point having a fitness wearable if you've got to wear it for 16 hours and charge it for 8. The next thing, which I haven't actually delved into, but I do think is a cool feature, is they have clothing. So Whoop have come up with boxers and sports bras for women, etc., where you can actually take the tracker part off the watch and put it into the sports bra or put it into the shorts. What this means is when you're doing things like Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, rugby for example, where things are pretty kinetic, okay, you're getting grabbed, you're getting like hammered or whatever, you don't want something on your wrist that can snag or can injure someone, sharp edges if you're doing Jiu-Jitsu, etc. Then it's hidden away and you can track your metrics, you can track your activity while not having it on your wrist. What this also means is if you're going out somewhere and you don't want to be like a virgin, like a women repellent on your wrist, then you can bang it in your boxers, still be tracking your activity, still be tracking your sleep, and no one will know. So you can be sexually attractive whilst tracking your metrics. The next thing which I've experienced, which I think is pretty cool, is the activity tracking then. So like everything, okay, normally you'd have to put, I'm doing a run, I'm doing a functional fitness workout, I'm doing a cycle, whatever, on your watch. So on a Garmin, for example, you put indoor bike on and it does it, it tracks it, brilliant. Same with this, you can go onto the app before you start working out, click start activity, and then you start the activity. That's fine. However, what this does, which is fairly cool, if you forget to do that, and you just go and do a functional fitness workout or something, then it tracks it automatically and it'll tell you, have you done a functional fitness workout? Functional fitness workout detected. And because your activity is increased, your heart rate's increased, your strain's increased in that period of time, it'll give you the time you started, the time you finished, and it'll give you a strain score for that activity. So it makes it really seamless. It means you don't have to go into the app and keep starting activities, stopping activities, all that kind of stuff, which is pretty difficult to do and difficult to remember to do. it'll do it automatically. So provided your Whoop's charged, if you're going and doing a run or going and doing a bike ride or whatever, it'll track it and you don't have to worry about it. It's on your strain score already. Okay, so the next thing then I want to talk about is heart rate monitoring. So heart rate monitoring, I've had a ton of different things. So I've had a Garmin, I've had a couple of different ones, different models. I've had an Apple Watch, I've had chest straps, I've had the Whoop. Out of all of those, before having this, the Apple Watch was actually the most accurate, certainly from something I've had on my wrist. Apple Watch was very good. This Whoop is arguably better. It's certainly on par. All right, so the Garmin's I've worn, when you're going for a run, they're brilliant. So you're going for a run, the Garmin heart rate monitor is usually okay. It does sometimes have a little bit of a hissy fit and not work and just drop off the face of the earth. You'll see I actually overlay my heart rate data for the London Marathon, where I just wore a wrist Garmin watch and no chest strap. What happens is it's all the way steady, it's building, and it just drops off a cliff before I finish. That's obviously not what happened to my actual heart rate, because it carried on going up as I felt, but I had no heart rate data because the watch had just wrapped effectively. This is much better when you're doing things like rowing or something where you actually have to grab onto an apparatus, so pull-ups or barbell rows or whatever. This still tracks your heart rate pretty accurately. A Garmin doesn't do that in my experience, so you need a heart rate monitor on your chest, which is not ideal. So effectively this removes the need for a chest heart rate monitor unless you really want to get super accurate and read into it while you're running or while you're biking or whatever. Then you obviously need one, but I would say that out of everything I've used in terms of wrist heart rate, this is 100% the most accurate. Okay, next let's get into some finances then. So if you go onto the Whoop website and you click join now, there is a couple of different options. So you can pay for it monthly, or you can pay for it for a year or 2 years. A little bit different to how Apple Watches work and how Garmin works, all right? Garmin is a one-off payment. You pay for the device and you get the device, cool. Whoop is a subscription model, which is great for 1 or 2 reasons and a drawback for other reasons, okay? I believe it's about 27 quid a month. Okay, so if you compare that to the most expensive Garmin on the market, which is about £600, if we go 600 divided by 27, you would need to have this for 22 months for it to be on par with a Garmin watch, okay? That means you can have it for pretty much 2 years of use and it's still cheaper than a Garmin. However, past that point, it's obviously just accruing more and more expense. That's one of the drawbacks, I feel. One of the positives to it being a subscription based model and the fact that it's an app that you track things on is it allows them to make updates super easily. So because you're paying monthly, they have to keep the customers obviously on a monthly basis. People could leave at any stage, so effectively they have to keep the user experience on the app super engaging, really good, really accurate, make sure everything's relevant in terms of data they're giving you. Whereas Garmin ship you one product and that's it, you've already paid for it, so there's no real incentive for them to keep updating it. When they update something, they need to create a whole new watch and then you have to go and buy that extra watch, so it's another expense. So there's a couple of different ways of looking at it. I think it's a really nice model in terms of you can pretty much try it for free. People have codes and stuff, you can try it for free. You can see if you like the data, if you think it's helpful, if you think it's stressful, whatever, and then you can chin it off if you don't like it. If you do like it, then you can have it for pretty much 2 years before it accrues the same cost as a Garmin. Let's get into drawbacks then. So I don't like to make my videos too negative, so I'll keep this fairly short and sweet. One of the drawbacks, clearly, is that it's not a watch, all right? It's obviously just a band with no screen, nothing like that. And that means that you do need an Apple Watch or a Garmin as well to facilitate activity tracking when you're actually on the activity. So if you want to go for a run, you want to see your pace, you want to see your heart rate, you want to do all that kind of stuff when you're on the run, you need another device to track all of those things. That's a bit of a ball ache because, as I've just spoken about, you can have this for 2 years without it accruing the same cost as the top Garmins. However, you probably will need a Garmin as well as this in order to track your runs, all right? So I still have my Garmin Forerunner 735 or whatever. That is really good, okay? It does everything I need it to do. But what I need to do when I go for a run is I have this on, obviously to track, which I have on 24/7, and I have to put my Garmin on externally to that because I need to see my heart rate, I need to see my pace, all that kind of stuff. I need to connect to Strava. So a little bit of a drawback there. I think that it's not a activity tracker really. It's a lifestyle tracker effectively, so it's like a health and lifestyle tracker. But it is really good, really good at the job it tries to do. So it's not trying to be a Garmin, it's not trying to be an Apple Watch. It's great at the job it tries to do, but a little bit of a drawback in terms of convenience is that you do need a Garmin as well. Finally then, who's it for? Okay, obviously, if you're taking your fitness seriously, what gets measured gets improved. So if you're going to measure your strain, measure your recovery, measure your sleep, then those things are generally going to improve, and those things are going to be a net positive to your ability to perform in sessions, therefore your ability to improve your fitness, all of those kinds of things. What I would say, it's definitely for you if you're someone who is a high achiever, someone who is really working hard in the gym and all that kind of thing, but you struggle to take time off, you struggle to take easy sessions, you struggle to take rest days when you should do. The Whoop will tell you when you're 30% recovered, when you're in the red, then you should probably take time off. For me, it's been really good. I struggle to take rest days. I think, okay, I feel okay, my body feels a bit sore, but I'll go for it. A lot of those sessions can be diminishing returns in terms of the session can not go great, or it can push you into closer to injury than it can to progression. So a lot of times it's good to have something else tell you, actually, you're overtraining a little bit, slow down, or take this session a little bit easier, so you can actually make informed decisions on where you actually push your efforts. When you're recovered, you can go for it, and when you're sort of struggling a little bit, then you can sort of taper off or take a rest day. Also, if you're someone who struggles with sleep, I think that having all of these insights can be really valuable, because again, like I mentioned at the start of the video, if you're someone who has caffeine late on in the day or has alcohol a lot of the time, seeing it staring back at you is something you're paying for every month, and you are checking every morning to see how your sleep's gone. If it's telling you you're 1% recovered every morning because you have alcohol every night, it's probably going to twig your thoughts a little bit to say, okay, I might miss that glass of wine later on, or I might not have that coffee at 5 o'clock before I leave the office. All of those kinds of things, it's going to be useful for you. Okay, I think that's a massive help in terms of it. For me, I don't have coffee now past 12 o'clock. Before I had my Whoop, I was having it about 3 p.m. and that's a behaviour that's now changed. So it's good to drive behaviour change in people who maybe aren't as aware of what things they're putting into their body or things they're doing to their body actually are having an effect with. Okay, so I've just done you a little screen recording here then, so you can see what the actual app looks like. You can see you've got charge in the top corner, and you've got recovery, 64%, not great today. You go down, you've got heart rate variability, sleep performance, and calories. Obviously probably not that accurate, but calories burnt roughly. It then shows you a little Gucci little graph as to where your strain's been and where your recovery's been in the last couple of days. You go across to sleep, 86%, bosh. Nice, it tells you how much you need to peak, how much you've had. I think the sleep is pretty accurate from my experience. It tells you obviously a graph for the last week. Again, recovery, so it tells you you've done a solid recovery, you can push your training today. If that was lower, it would tell me to take a rest day. Again, it'll tell me all these metrics, so resting heart rate, respiratory rate, all those kinds of things. And then it measures strain. So it doesn't necessarily just measure heart rate, it measures your stress, it measures whether you're walking, whether you're lifting, all these kinds of things will be measured in your strain. I think it's at 21. So you can have a really high strain, and it will then link into your recovery the next day. So that's kind of how it works. I'll end the recording there. So hopefully that gives you a little bit of an insight. Okay, thanks for watching guys. Hope that was helpful in terms of if you're thinking about buying a Whoop. Hopefully that informed you a little bit on things that you can expect, things that are involved, things that aren't involved, and hopefully it made the decision a little bit easier. Give me a like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.